Blessings crew, and welcome to this week's offering. And we've got this energy of the silly season here, and also a whole lot of change going on around us. And so part of your yoga practice isn't to escape that, it's to give your nervous system a chance to cope better with it. And so one of the things that we want to do before we start is just kind of notice where you're at. So that's physically, okay, because it's really important that we listen to our body, but also think, where am I at with all of that stuff that's going on in the world? And just trying to take a moment to breathe into that, not to push it away so much as to just kind of acknowledge it. And then we're going to take just a moment to think that we're going to create a sanctuary wherever we are. Okay, so whatever the place is that you're inhabiting is that sanctuary for this period of time. And if you're practicing with another person, you know, and I know some of you gather to do this, you know, just kind of take that moment just to acknowledge each other as well, that you are entering that sacred sanctuary together into that space. I'm just going to bring the idea of sanctuary into your practice. And, you know, sanctuary is all sorts of things, but it starts in here as well. And we've kind of got to come home to ourselves and home to sanctuary. And then our practice can flourish from there. So just take that moment. We're going to take a couple of breaths. We've got a lot of noise in the background here today, so I'm hoping that this comes through all right. So there's my kind of sanctuary, and we're going to bring ourselves into the breath. And just whichever way you're sitting, can sit on the floor, can kind of stand, can kind of just be in the space. Just breathe into that. We're going to breathe in. If you did the meditation last week, we're going to think about love, maybe as a word. We're going to breathe it in. It already exists in the world. We're going to fill ourselves up with it. We're going to breathe it out into the world, into that sanctuary. Let's breathe it in, fill ourselves up, and breathe it out into that sanctuary. So we're creating a place for it. One more. I'm going to find my way onto the mat and just kind of find our way into open cross-legged and sit for a moment in that space. And we're going to open our arms up, inhale, bring them up, and exhale, bring them down, and inhale, bring them up, and exhale, bring them down. Inhale, come up. Exhale, bring them around behind you. Touch them down, fingers pointing away. Just lean into the wrists just a little bit. And then lift up through the spine. Nice deep breath. And then come forward. So walk these hands forward. Roll the shoulders down. Nice deep breath there. Walk the hands in, take the arms up, and left hand comes down, right arm reaches. We're going to turn and look under. That arm lift up through the ribs. Inhale up, exhale, reach it over. Looking under that arm, really feeling into that space. Inhale out. Round into the twist. Left hand goes around behind us, right hand. Into that twist. Changing sides. And bring it back to center and center. Okay, so bring ourselves to center. Think of the center line of the body, so down from the crown of the head to the base. Already moved our legs off that center line and we've twisted around that center line. Now we're going to work with our arms. We're going to take them up, bring our palms together, take them down the back of the neck, and just lift the chest. Just get that chest stretch again. And as we do that, we want to feel like the whole front of the body is lifting up. Don't forget to breathe. And then the arms come up, and they come out wide. And we reach them around behind us. We're going to link our fingers. Roll the shoulder blades down, tuck the chin down. Nice deep breath. Lift the chest up towards the chin. Opening up. Bring those arms back up. Fingertips onto shoulders. Round onto some circles. And then change direction, go round the other way. Last one. Bring those hands down. We're going to change our feet round. So whichever foot's in front, there's another foot that's behind. And we're going to inhale, bring those arms up. I'm going to take them around behind us again. And so lean back into those wrists. And then lift that chest just slightly or deep, depending on how slumped we are. Roll the shoulder blades towards each other. And just keep the chin tucked in, that chest lifting. Big breath right up onto the collarbones. Bring it forward. It's a nice long spine. Coming up slowly, so walk the hands in, arms come up, big inhale, taking that left hand down, right arm reaches, looking under that right arm, big deep breath. Second time into these, so lifting that little bit deeper, that little bit further perhaps, but lots of listening into the body as well. Inhale, lift. Exhale, take it over. Inhale, bring it back to center. And then around onto that twist, left hand to the back, right hand around. And around again. and back to center. So a little bit of sequence team, that if you're looking for something short, relatively easy but relieving, that kind of bit there where you're just staying in the same base and moving around and along it can really help loosen up. So think about how your body feels now. Sometimes we complicate things. We think I have to know all the poses and I have to do all the things. No. So we're going to change the base a little bit, bring the soles of the feet in close to start with. We're just going to go up and down through the knees. And especially, I think, during the holiday period, right? We kind of sometimes, especially if you are having holidays, you think, right, I'm going to get really motivated. I'm going to do lots of yoga and I'm going to do... So coming forward, so having some shorter kind of practices in your mind that you can take with you, that you can kind of sit on the grass, outside your tent or outside your caravan or the batch. Or if you're working over this period of time, more yoga, right, to cope with the stresses of that. Come up slowly from there, bring the feet out into that wider diamond. And come forward. I'm going to keep that spine nice and long. Breathe into there. We're going to drop our left shoulder, that one, and head over towards that left knee. Inhale up, take it the other way. So thinking about that movement off the center line too. It's where so much of that tension gets carried, is because we stay in the same shape. Because when we move, we start to release it from wherever we're carrying it. So coming up to center. So dance, yoga, just, moving, walking. The things that take you off the center line, which is why dance and yoga are good. Second center line, on all fours, we're going to go round into some circles into the hips. So we're loosening up. Change direction, go around the other way. One more. We're going to take it into plank. Give yourself all those permissions to go stronger or gentler or somewhere in between. If you're in plank, heels pressing back, chest lifting, a long deep breath. Then up into down dog. Through those hips, keep them going, keep them lifting. Bring it forward, bring the knees down, melt down. Chaturanga if you wish, but roll the shoulders down, and we're going to lift along the spine just slowly. Bring the big toes together. So into cobra, into the breath. If you feel like taking it a little bit deeper, reach those arms around, link the fingers, push gently back through the arms, or strong back through the arms depending on how you're feeling. Down we go. Rolling it back into down dog or into frog depending on energy levels. Bring your right knee down, step your left foot up as if we're going into lunge, but we're going to go wide on the mat team, so tuck toes under, turn your feet. Just kind of hang out, bring the hands forward a bit so we're not too strong into those hamstrings yet. Give those knees a little bit of a dance. And then weight slightly to the outside edge of the feet. Let the head start to come down, the upper body start to come down. Big deep breath. We're going to come up to standing team, so just in that wide leg shape. So calm up slowly, look after blood pressure. Oh. We're going to inhale, bring the arms up. And bring left hand down onto that left thigh, reach through that right arm and turn and look under that right arm. Big deep breath. Inhale, come up. Exhale, take it the other way. Inhale, come up. Exhale, come down slowly into that forward fold again. We can either bring our hands to the floor or we can sweep the arms back. Link those fingers, lift them up towards the roof, let the head drop. Come up slowly, crew. Again, looking after that blood pressure. When we're ready, when the stars kind of stop colliding, bring the arms up. This time linking the fingers, taking them up towards the roof, keeping them together, we're taking it over towards the left. We can make this as strong or as gentle as we wish, so we're lifting through those right ribs. Head's more neutral in this one too, so it's ear to arm alignment. Inhale up. Exhale, take it the other way. Inhale, bring it back to center. Again, bring these arms down this time. We can have them to the floor, or we can slide them down the back of the legs, drawing ourselves that little bit deeper into that forward fold. Coming around into that front foot, so turning into the high lunge, team, from there. And come up slow from there. So we're on the ball of that back foot, we're sinking down, so slowing it all down, and then inhaling, bringing the arms up. Check that low back feels alright. Coming slowly forward, Bring the hands down. When we step back into down dog team, we can take that left foot up into our three-leg version if we wish. Bring that left foot down. If you've had it up, we're going to step this right foot forward, so we might bring that left knee down to do that, or we might swing it through and come up into that high lunge. So back heel presses back on the ball of that back foot, we're sinking down. Again, we've got that setting up of everything, team, so we're feeling really centered, knee nice and lined up. Then inhale, come up slow, reach into that space. Coming down, we're going to come wide again. So come down, turn the feet, and lift it up slowly to standing from there. Monty's under the table. He's got one back paw resting on a chair leg, about that far off the floor. It's very cute. Very cute. Very sleepy. It's very sleepy. So what we're going to do from here, crew, is get the blood to go to the right places. We're going to blink our fingers, so make a kind of fist. Reach your arms up, and then we're going to come forward, straight out in front, touching kitchen chairs if you're me. And we're going to go around to the back of the mat and bring it back to center and around to the front of the mat. Arms nice and strong, body nice and strong. Inhaling back to center, exhaling to one side, inhaling back to center and exhaling to the other side, just keeping that movement nice and strong. Nice and slow. One more to each side. And back through the center, down into that forward fold. If you think about what felt good on your arms and your legs, was it holding on to the back of the legs? Was it arms up behind you? Was it dropping down? Pick that arm shape. Let the head drop. Come back around to that front foot, back into that high lunge. Stepping back into plank, up into down dog, taking that right foot up, or not, as the case may be, towards the roof. Bring that foot down, meet on all fours, into kneeling. Something under that space between calf muscle and thigh if we need it. Sit for a moment. And crew, this is another one of those kind of pause points where you can dive out of class, or you can think, oh, that's quite an interesting way of moving around, and something that I think for a lot of people when they're trying to put their own practice together, is how do I flow, right? And really you're just thinking about the bases and moving the legs around and the body around those bases. We can get quite creative. We don't have to kind of stick to something that says this is this yoga pose. Mainly because all of what we've done today is a yoga pose or the part of a yoga pose, so broken down to help with your practice, to get deeper into something that maybe otherwise we might find quite hard or that comes from different parts of yoga, so moving around from Pavamuktasana practices. So, you know, there's all sorts of yoga. We don't just have to think about a sun salutation, although they're very handy as a go-to. If you're like, I can never remember a sequence, kind of play with that. From here, we're going to take our toes under, get that foot stretch happening. And so, if you're wondering what that looks like, breathe, let the shoulders kind of drop down. Then we're going to lift up onto the ball, onto the toes. So we're like this. And where we want to be with this is quite often when we start to do camel-like poses, what we do is we collapse back like that. And so we're going to concentrate on being kind of over the knees, so right on top of our knees, so that when we lift, instead of thinking about going backwards, we're thinking about lifting up that center line of the body. So lifting the front of the body up, the chest up. And so we're going to start by just doing that. Okay, so we're just kind of doing the zip up the front of the body. And we're going to taking our arms and we're going to open the shoulders up, because that's the other place that sometimes we're slumping because we can't get the space to open. It's a bit of a theme for today. Just that opening across the chest. Notice the palms, just take the palms out. What do I do with my head? We're going to keep it in line, so we don't want to throw it backwards. So we're just going back in line with the spine. Then we're breathing. Then we're coming down. We're flattening the feet. We're stretching it back. Make some room for your belly. So take the knees out slightly. Let the arms reach forward, bring the head down. What's up? What are you woofing at? Cameo appearance from Nelly the dog as we come up. What? We're going to come up slowly, tuck the toes under. Pets, people, you know, practicing with your pets. Always interesting. Just gonna have a drink now. What you doing? Are you gonna come wipe your whiskers on Auntie? Yeah, of course. Hey, wet whiskers. Wet whiskers on Auntie. You gonna help me with my practice? You and everybody else's dog, eh? You gonna do camel pose with me? Are you? So Cream, take. We're coming up the front of the body. Are you? You're going to help me with camel pose, are you? So we're coming up through the front of the body. You're going to take your left hand back and see whether you can find your what? On the back of your leg. Oh dear. Bring the hips forward slightly, and then right arm is going to reach up into that space. And we really want to not compromise that lift of the chest. So if you're having to fish or lean back too far, bring the hand onto the thigh instead. Hello, sweetie. You going to help? No? I'm going back to bed. So that long, slow, deep lift. Take the gaze up to the thumbs if we've got enough movement in the chest. Otherwise, just look where that neck is going. Change size just slowly. Lifting it up, really lifting up through the front of the body. Big deep breath. when we come down, team, we've got the option, another frog pose or a down dog. So check out those energy levels and just take it slow. Come up slowly, team, and around to cross-legged. And what we're noticing here is, as we move through, is the other thing about putting a home practice together is what's known as counterposing. And that's where we just went back that way. And so we needed to come forward to let the lower back release. Same as when we were here, we went that way and then we came forward. Okay, so counterposing is about recognizing, and often your body will do it naturally. So you do something like that and you're like, oh, I need to, I need to stretch forward, or I need to move in a different way. So it's about honoring that. So part of our practice is that honoring of movement and feeling like the movement is natural, even though some of the shapes we make don't kind of seem natural because we don't move much in our lives. And so we're talking about keeping functional movement. So we're going to take our right leg out in front and think about kind of why we would stretch our hamstrings, for example. Especially those of you where every time we do a hamstring stretch, you're like, oh, really? Do we have to? Yes, we do. So the hamstring sits right up, it attaches to it, sit right up under our butt. So it's a huge part of our movement when we are walking, but it's in running and cycling. But it's also a huge, as we get older, ability to counterbalance ourselves if we start to lose our balance. If we're stiff, we're way more likely to not be able to catch ourselves if we start to fall. If we've got a bit of movement and we're used to being off that center line and we get a little bit off balance, chances are we're going to be able to catch that fall, or we're going to fall better. We're going to fall softer. We're going to know that we can move. Okay, so just think about that kind of thing as we move into this. And so we're going to lift up through the upper body, and movement feels good, right? So we're going to let this knee lift a little bit, and instead of thinking reaching for the toes, we're thinking rolling around the hips and coming forward just slowly. Now it's an area that we very quickly often lose our flexibility in quite quickly, depending on what we're doing. So there's a maintenance level with yoga and there's a development level with yoga. We want to at least do the maintenance, okay? Roll the shoulders down, nice deep breath. We can turn this into a twist, so we're going to bring this left knee up. Take our right hand or our right elbow to it, come round into that slightly deeper twist than the one we did earlier. Looking over that left shoulder, turning the head, opening the eyes nice and wide. Bringing that back to center, changing sides. And so this kind of movement crew is something we can do on the floor the end of the day. We might have a book, we might have a screen, we might have something, but we can actually move. So the other thing about yoga practice, physical yoga practice, as we lift up, is that it doesn't have to be creating a sanctuary and doing the things. Okay, it can be on the fly. And the reason for that is that it is really just the precursor to meditation and to the lifestyle aspects of yoga. It's not yoga itself. It's just one branch of the big yoga tree. And so I think sometimes we kind of take the physical side and we're like, that's my yoga practice. It's like, no, that's the warm up for your yoga practice, or that's part of the maintenance of your yoga practice. And so it's a part of, it's not all of. And that can be so important to recognize when you're busy, you think, I don't make enough time for it, I don't have a quiet enough space. It's movement, it's keeping your body connected so that you can do the other stuff, the other sides of yoga. As we bring this right knee up, left hand or left elbow, around we go, over that shoulder, looking over that shoulder, opening the eyes nice and wide. And then bringing it back to center, both legs out in front. Everything a little shake. It's one of the reasons I've enjoyed putting the 15-minute meditations together, is it feels like it gives you an opportunity to explore meditation each week in different ways, different styles, different ideas, without feeling like I have to then go and do this. So hopefully. Or you can just grab that side of it and go and do that. So that's my theory. We'll see if it's working out. So you're going to lift up along the spine. We're going to soften those knees and we're going to wander forward. And thank you, crew, for the feedback on the last one, on the love edition. It was really, really beautiful to put that meditation together. If you haven't listened to it, the link's still there. And it's just, there's something about it that felt really lovely. So wait and see what comes out for this week's offering. We're breathing here, team. Some of you are going to be sitting quite upright. Some of you are going to be with your head on your shins. It's all about just slow release of the tension that we carry in the hamstrings and along the spine. Wander it back in, and we are going to take ourselves down to the floor for some practice. So keeping with some of the themes of the morning, the evening, wherever, however you are, we're going to bring our knees in towards our chest, and we're going to take our left foot and we're going to put it onto our right knee. Bit of a favourite at the moment, this one. So we're going to bring that right knee in towards you, and we can hold it so we can take our left hand through that space between the ankle and the pelvis and grab that right shin. Right hand just goes around the outside of that leg to meet it, and bring that right knee in towards you. Start there, start with the breath. Changing sides, just slow, find your way into that second side. Try and get the head to the floor, chin tucked in. Sometimes we have to be a bit curled up if we're a bit tight in this one. Very similar to pigeon pose, crew. Same stretch. For some people a little bit easier to get into, some people a little bit harder to get into than pigeon pose. So mixing it up a little bit. And that foot comes down. Soles of the feet together, knees drop out to the side on the floor, arms reaching up, over your head, stretch it out. Supta Baddha Konasana. Take a moment just to be in the breath.
Then we're going to reach our arms up, bring them down alongside the body. Snuggle them in under your glutes. Bring your knees in towards your chest, take your feet up towards the roof. Heels pressing away, toes drop back towards you. Sink into the breathing. Bring those legs down. Take the arms out nice and wide from the shoulders. And lift your hips over to the left side of your mat. Take your knees right. Simple twist. So head turning to the left, lots of twisting in this session, team. So just noticing, making sure it feels all right, but also sometimes this time of year we need a little bit extra releasing of the body, just carrying. Twisting is good for that. Right hand to the left knee comes in towards the chest. We're not dropping it towards the floor, crew, so just supporting it. Stays in line with the hip. Slide that leg down, bring them back to center, hips back to center, and then over to the right they go. Knees go left, simple twist first, head looking along that right arm. Then left hand to that right knee, drawing it in, up and in towards you. Big deep breaths. Bring that knee down. Bring it all back to center. Supta Baddha Konasana again, team. So soles of the feet together, knees drop out to the side, arms reach up and over. So into the breath we go for a moment. Notice those points that are touching the floor. Give yourself a moment to connect up with the earth, with your breath. We're going to roll over onto our left side and come up to seated, team. So come up slow. Find your way around.
What we want to do, crew, is we're going to put some breath work in. Okay, so one of the things about physical yoga practice that people often struggle with, right, is getting the breathing going, especially if you're doing some vinyasa. So if you're going to a vinyasa class or turning some of these into flow, quite often we really struggle with getting the breath to move. Also, for those of you that suffer from a little bit of anxiety or a lot of anxiety, the breath is often quite difficult because the breath like working with the breath can sometimes make us feel a little anxious, but it's also a relief for anxiety. Okay, it can bring that nervous system down. So, so we're going to keep it simple this morning. Whenever you're practicing this, but we're going to work with what the breath is doing, and then we're going to put a simple pranayama, a simple practice together. Okay, so first off, find a comfortable way to sit. Okay, so support the spine if we need to support the spine, take the legs out in front if that's better, whatever feels good for you. Then we're going to notice. So the first thing we need to do is notice our breath. Now, what you might happen when you notice your breath is that it changes. Okay, so we want to be able to observe our breath without judgment. Okay, so it's really important that we can sit in the breath and not feel like it should be a particular way. It is how it is at the moment. Okay, so just sit for a few breaths. We might close our eyes. We might soften our gaze and look at something, whatever feels good, and just be in the breath as it is, the easy, natural breath. Those of you that have done that drill with me, the natural, easy breath. If it jumps around the place, just notice it jumping around the place. We need to try and sit without judgment of exactly where our breath is right now. And that is something to notice, the not judgment bit. There isn't an I should, I could, I would. There is, what's your body doing right now, right now? We're going to bring our attention to the exhale. We're just going to notice the exhale. And you're just noticing it, not doing anything with it. We're noticing the exhale. What does it feel like? How does it arrive? What feeling is there as it starts? What's the feeling at the bottom of the exhale? And we're right at the end of that exhale. Some of you might notice that the bottom of the exhale, there's a softening of the exhale. It almost disappears, then it disappears. And then that's the appearance of the inhale, right? The beginning of the inhale. So go to there. What does that feel like? The start of the inhale. And go to the end of the inhale. What does the end of the inhale feel like? Something that we want to feel is that pause and then the arrival of the exhale. So we move our awareness back to the exhale. What does it feel like to move from the inhale to the exhale? Then what is it like to move from the exhale to the inhale? And as we're sitting with the breath, we want to notice if it changes as we observe it. Remember, we're doing this without any sense of judgment. We're allowing our breath. What's your mind like now that you're focusing on your breath? we breathe, we're going to open our eyes if we've had our eyes closed, and you're just going to notice what that feels like. So sometimes if you've done pranayama or breathwork workshops, you know, where there's quite a bit of really strong breath, we might not have done that. We might not have just observed the breath. And it's a meditation technique, okay? Some of you may have felt after a few minutes that the mind just softened, okay? It didn't go to sleep, it didn't disappear, it's still there, we're still human. But it may have softened a bit, and that is a practice that can bring us into calmness. We don't have to do anything with the breath. We're noticing, and by noticing and observing, there's subtle changes going on, right? We're able to kind of just be more present to the breath. When it comes to practicing some of the gentler pranayamas, they are about observing that there's 4 stages to the breath. And you hear me say it. If you've done a few of my classes, you'll know. There's that moment, that holding, that retention of the breath. But sometimes we're trying to pay too much attention to it, right? And so we don't kind of feel that shift. And it's that shift. Hello, Monty. We feel that shift. And notice, okay, so this is interesting. Monty now wants to come and have a cuddle and probably lick at a particular part of his body while he's here. That would be very dog-like, wouldn't it? Hey, are we on camera? That might feel nice to Monty too, that slowness of the breath. So if we're in anxiety, okay, or if we're in a situation over the holiday period, this is where this is leading, right? Where we are either in that anxious anxiety, or we are sitting with someone who's in that anxiety. Our breath can change their breath. And it's quite beautiful. If you don't know what to say, if you don't know what to do, if there's not much you can say or do in a situation, so think of grief, think of things that happen and someone telling a story, or, you know, all those things. If we can sit and be in our breath and be present to our breath, and we get used to doing that, and we get used to doing that in any situation. So there we did it like where we could focus and soften and close our eyes and stuff. The next time you practice that, try doing it at a bus stop or in a queue at the bank or the queue at the supermarket. You know how they're getting bigger and longer because it's Christmas here. If you're practicing this in line with when it comes out. And so we can practice that. We can practice not judging it, just observing it, being present to those transitions and those pauses, coming into that center and being with the breath. If you want to go on and work with the breath, it all starts there, okay? We've got to have a base point. That's our baseline, okay? And so think of that as your base. Think of that as where you start. And I've gone on way too long, but that's okay. Many blessings, everyone. Take good care. Enjoy the meditation.